mycorrhiza and the lichen, and the last part that is viruses. Got it? Chalo. So now we start with the one example of symbiotic association, mutualism, that is mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza, and this mycorrhiza also called as the fungal root. Root basically, these are the part of the plant. Fungal, these are the part of the fungi. So we are talking about that is fungal root. Very much question with respect to mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza basically these are example of symbiotic association. And you know very well, whenever we are talking about symbiotic association, it means that we are talking about give and take relationship. And this give and take relationship in ecology language, these are called as mutualism. Right? These are called as the mutualism. Mutualism means what? Both species, they get benefit. So it is represented by plus plus. Fungus also get the benefit as well as the plant also get the benefit. So that's why we can say this such type of the symbiotic association. These are specifically in case of ecological language, these are called as the mutualism. Now, whenever we are talking about mycorrhiza, these mycorrhiza, these are the symbiotic association or relationship between the higher plant root, means we are talking about gymnosperm and the angiosperm root with fungal. So we are talking about these are the relationship. These are the relationship between fungi plus root of higher plant. Root of or roots of the higher plants, and these higher plants nothing but we are talking about gymnosperm. I'm just writing gymno, and another example that is angiosperm. So I'm just writing the angio. Okay, so gymnosperm and the angiosperm. So now these are the one specific property with this relationship. Definitely here we are talking about that is fungus. These are showing symbiotic association with the root of higher, right? Root के साथ association कर रहा है. So talking about such type of the gymnosperm and the angiosperm who involved in mycorrhizal association. Such type of this plant, they lack the root cap as well as the root hair. So we are talking about such type of the gymnosperm. Those are showing symbiotic association. Those are showing mycorrhizal association with fungi. Such type of this plant, they lack root cap. Root cap absent hoga in such particular plants, absent, and as well as root hair also absent. We discuss this part later, why such type of this structure is absent in case of root cap and the root hair. So the plant, gymnospermic plant as well as the angiospermic plant, those are showing mycorrhizal association with the fungi. Only those plant, okay, only those plant, they lack the root cap and the root hair, because root cap involved in the protection and root hair ka function kya hoga? Absorption of water, right? So whatever this function, protection and the absorption, all this function performed by the fungus. So that's why such type of this modification present in case of the plant who showing the mycorrhizal association. They lack the root cap as well as they lack the root hair. So quickly we are talking about why we say these are the symbiotic association, give and take relationship, healthy relationship. Both the species, they get benefit with each other. So we are talking about what benefit provided by the fungi and what benefit it is provided by the plant. So we are talking about that condition. Yeah. Should I continue next part? This part is clear, very basic information. We are talking about mycorrhizal association, fungus with higher root plants, and one another condition, gymnosperm and the angiosperm, those are involved in mycorrhizal association. They lack the root cap as well as the root hair also absent. Okay, chalo. So now we are talking about, simply we are dividing this page into two sections, and we are talking about some important points with respect to fungi and another point with respect to that is plant. So what kind of this function performed by the fungi and the plant? So whenever we are talking about the fungi, you know that Fungi basically, it consists of mycelium structure. It is consist of the mycelium. And now what happened? Such type of this mycelium, they can absorb water as well as the mineral. So easily they can absorb water plus mineral. So that's why in case of this plant, root hair totally absent. Second function with respect to fungi, because of that mycelium structure, they involved in protection also. So protection का काम भी कौन कर रहा है? Fungus कर रहा है. That's why root cap also absent. In case of this plant, root cap also absent because absorption of mineral and the water, it is, these are the major function of the root hair or the root part. So that root hair area is absent, and protection, these are the function performed by the root cap. So whatever these two function is performed by the fungus, that's why in case of this plant, root cap, root hair absent. Now, second point, what function performed by the plant? Basically, plant, they are photosynthetic, so definitely they provide food to the fungi, and as well as we are talking about shelter. It's provide shelter also. Number second, we are talking about in case of this food, more specifically, plant secrete the chemical. Chemical means that secrete the sugar. Plant release the chemical, and that chemical nothing but that is sugar particle, right? And these sugar increase the growth of fungi. Plant release the sugar responsible for growth of fungi. Okay, so these are the two benefits, right? Now there is one question from the fungi. What is the purpose for the mycorrhizal association? Here we discuss that is fungi basically they absorb water as well as the mineral. More specifically, we are talking about which mineral. So these are the neat favorite question. Remember this point. Fungus basically it has the mycelium structure. Mycelium structure matlab they can penetrate deeply inside the root and they can easily absorb the minerals. And more specifically, we are talking about these are the responsible for absorption. They absorb phosphate in major amount. They absorb phosphate in major amount, and the second nutrient, that is nitrogen. Got it? Which one is the major? Phosphate basically these are the major, because you know very well phosphate and the sulfur they are obtained from the rock. When you study the cycle, during the cycle, carbon, oxygen, water, they obtain from the atmosphere, they obtain from the water. But whenever we are talking about phosphate and the sulfur source, we obtain from the rock, right? So यहाँ पे simply क्या हो रहा है? Plant basically they lack hair, right? But fungus they has the mycelium. Mycelium structure मतलब कैसा होगा? It form the network. They can, and we know that fungus mycelium they secrete the some weak acid. ये हम आगे देखेंगे during the succession point. So that fungus mycelium they secrete the weak acid. Due to that weak acid, rock withering process can be initiated, and after the rock withering, whatever the sulfur or whatever the phosphate is present, that phosphate easily absorbed by the mycelium, and this phosphate provided to the plant. So there is a simple very question, which is the major mineral provided by the fungus? So answer will be phosphate, and the second nitrogen. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? Yes or no? This point is clear? Okay, Pratyusha. What about the others? New students? Okay. Okay, Shivangi. Okay, chalo. Very good. Yeah. So now we are talking about types of mycorrhiza, endomycorrhiza and the ectomycorrhiza. This part is over. Differentiation part is over. Okay. Now we are talking about that is typical mycorrhiza These are divided into two types, depend upon their attachment. Number one, ectomycorrhiza, and the another one, endomycorrhiza. Ecto and the endo. Whenever we are talking about the ectomycorrhiza, it means that these are the simply surface attachment. And whenever we are talking about endo, it means that penetration inside penetration. That's why it is called as the endomycorrhiza. Okay. So quickly we are taking the diagrammatic representation to represent ectomycorrhiza and the endomycorrhiza. Purpose what? दोनों का purpose एक ही है. Provide phosphate, provide nutrient inside the cell to the plant. But now they are showing two ways. So we are talking about two types of the mycorrhiza, endomycorrhiza as well as the ectomycorrhiza. So please divide your page into two sections. From this point, we are taking diagrammatic representation, example of the fungi, example of the plant, and one question which is already asked in previous NEET examination from this point. Okay, chalo. So first column, ectomycorrhiza, surface attachment. This point compare with endomycorrhiza, penetration inside. Mycorrhiza. Chalo. So first of all, we draw the structure, how it is look. Simply we are drawing the plant root structure, higher plant. So normally epidermis, cortex cell, like that. So simple we are taking diagrammatic explanation. We are not taking too much detail. Very simple. So this layer nothing but called as the outermost layer of the plant, that epidermis. सेम यहाँ पे भी इस तरह से स्ट्रक्चर ड्रॉ करो. Okay, these are the epidermis layer, outermost layer. Below the epidermis, now there is a presence of the cortex cell. So you know very well cortex cell, basically these are the loosely association of the cell. Living cells, parenchymatous tissue है. Cortex cell. Simple. So now we are talking about structure of the mycelium and now how it is get penetrate inside the cell. When we are talking about ectomycorrhiza, it means that all mycelium structure they form network on the surface like this. So this structure nothing but we are talking about structure of mycelium, fungus mycelium. So this mustard color represent the structure of mycelium. Mycelium structure, it is surface, it is ecto means what? It is present on the surface. So all over this structure, all over the surface, such type of this mycelium structure it is get spread. Now what happened? These mycelium they get penetrate inside the cortex cell and now they simply cover the space between the two cells, that is intercellular space. So if you see that mustard color किस तरह से cover, it is not penetrate inside the cell. क्या क्या cover कर रहा है ये? It's just simply cover the intercellular space. So now what is the main difference whenever we are talking about the ectomycorrhiza? In case of this ectomycorrhiza, no penetration of mycelium inside the cell. Simply they spread all over the intercellular space. We are talking about that is mycelium spread over the intercellular space. Intercellular, that is space between two cells. इंटर, टू डिफरेंट, इंटरसेलुलर स्पेस. तो कहाँ पे स्प्रेड हो रहा है ये? ओनली दीज आर दी स्प्रेड टुवर्ड द इंटरसेलुलर स्पेस. नो पेनिट्रेशन इनसाइड द सेल. And whatever we are talking about how they get spread, so all this spreading process or whatever the network they form, such type of this network, simply these are called as the Harting network. Whatever they occupy the space, intercellular space, such type of this network, whatever they form, they cover the cortex cell. On the margin they covered the entire area, not no penetration inside the cell, but simply what happened, they are showing penetration. They are cover the intercellular space without penetration. So whatever the structure it is get formed, that structure simply these are called as, that is Harting net. So ectomycorrhiza, which part is very much common? Harting net structure, these are the very much common where there is a no penetration inside the cell. And now what happened in this condition, there is a formation of the whatever the network they get formed, that networks, this simply it is called as the Harting network. Got it? This point is clear. They just spread all over the intercellular space in case of the ectomycorrhiza. That's why such type of this ectomycorrhiza, these are simply called as the, it's showing the surface attachment. Clear? 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 Okay, chalo. Now endomycorrhiza, we compare this point. Endo means what? Definitely we are talking about penetration inside the cell. Definitely whatever that mycelium structure is present, mycelium penetrated inside the cell. Inside the cell means inside the cortex cell, because cortex cell, these are the living cell. So inside the cortex cell. Because whatever that endomycorrhiza or the ectomycorrhiza, it is not reach up to endodermis. It's just spread up to cortex cell. Endodermis ke tab tak nahi jata, because endodermis, these are the fully what we say, there is a presence of the strips, casparin strips. So it is not possible to cross the endodermis. So whatever the network they get formed, endomycorrhizal or ectomycorrhizal, they are limited up to cortex cell. So here we are talking about mycelium, they are showing penetration inside the cortex cell. And if I'm talking about how that penetration, how that mycelium cover the area, so simply you can say they can, means mycelium cover the intra as well as the intercellular. It's cover the intercellular plus intracellular, means inside the cell. They cover the intra plus inter, दोनों को cover कर रहा है. So quickly we draw the structure how it is look. Now these are the mycelium which is present on the surface. This mycelium, it is get penetrate inside the cell and simply it is covered the area like this. Sometimes such mycelium, they are showing penetration like this. So whatever that mycelium structure is present, they cover the surface area as well as they penetrate inside the cell. Dono present, both conditions are present, right? So that's why we can say these are the endomycorrhiza, where they cover the intercellular space between the two cells, as well as they cover the intracellular, that is inside the cell. So both area they cover, and whatever the network get formed during this coverage, so such type of this network, simply these are called as WAM. So such type of this network, these are called as the WAM. WAM network. WAM stand for vascular orbiscular mycorrhiza. V stand for vascular, A stand for orbiscular, and M stand for mycorrhiza. N stands for mycorrhiza. VAM. VAM. VAM network. Simple meaning है. I'm repeating this point again. We are talking about two types of the network which is present in case of this endomycorrhiza as well as the ectomycorrhiza. In case of this ectomycorrhiza, where the surface attachment is present, at that point there is a hurting network get formed. Hurting means mycelium they cover only intercellular space. When we are talking about endomycorrhiza, during the endomycorrhiza, now they cover inter plus intercellular space, penetration inside the cell. So whatever the network get formed, that network, these are called as the VAM network. And what is meaning of this VAM? VAM simply meaning that is vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. Vascular arbuscular mycorrhiza. VAM. So VAM, agar we are talking about diagrammatic representation, so see there is single cortex cell, and inside the single cortex cell that mycelium it is gets spread all over the structure. It will be formed the, it's cover the inside the cortex cell structure. So that's why it is called as the VAM. Hurting network just cover the surface area. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? What is meaning of Harty network? What is meaning of ectomycorrhiza, endomycorrhiza? Just quickly check this point. Is there any doubt? You can ask me. Simple diagrammatic representation. Just understand the concept, endo and the ectomycorrhiza, which areas get covered. Okay, now tell me, whatever the process is going on, endo as well as the ectomycorrhiza, दोनों का क्या है benefit? What is the purpose? Provide nutrition, provide mineral, provide phosphate to the plant cell. So can you tell me which one is better? Ectomycorrhiza is better or endomycorrhiza is better? Out of these two techniques, out of these two methods, which one is better? Ectomycorrhiza better or endo? Endo. Yes, Deepika, true. So these are the better technique. Okay? Endomycorrhizal, these are the better technique, because now what happened, as compared to ectomycorrhiza, in case of endomycorrhiza, we directly release the nutrient, we directly provide the phosphate inside the cell. Ectomycorrhiza, जितना भी nutrient absorb किया mycelium ने, that nutrient it just release outside the cell. Now cortex cell they can absorb through the transporter. But now what happened in case of this endomycorrhiza, directly inside the cell provide the phosphate. So which one is the better? Endomycorrhiza, this technique, these are the better. That's why if you are talking about in case of this percentage, which one is the major? In case of this percentage, which one is the major? So definitely endomycorrhiza, these are maximum 90% this technique is applied, and only 10% plant and the fungi showing the ectomycorrhizal association. Maximum which method is applicable? Endomycorrhiza. So we are talking about in case of this percentage, only 10% and the 90%, because endomycorrhiza, these are the major way where we directly provide the nutrition inside the cell. Sorry. On the basis of that, now we are taking the examples of the fungi, and these are the one question which is already asked in NEET examination. Whenever we are talking about example for the ectomycorrhiza, so in this category, basically Basidiomycetes class, mushroom, Basidiomycetes class, which is the come under the higher fungi, class of the higher fungi, Basidiomycetes. So maximum example, these are the belonging to Basidiomycetes. And in case of this Basidiomycetes, simply we are taking the one example, that is Aminta. One example of the Basidiomycetes, that is Aminta. Aminta showing ectomycorrhizal association. And now one example with respect to endomycorrhiza. So maximum whenever we are talking about Phycomycetes, means what? Oomycetes plus Zygomycetes, दोनों को combine कहा जाता है Phycomycetes. Remember, Oomycetes plus Zygomycetes, collectively these are called as the Phycomycetes. And whenever we are talking about the Phyco, it means that we are talking about lower group, lower class of fungi. Okay. One question which is already asked, In case of this point, example is glomus, right? And these are the neat previous means last few year question which is already asked, because glomus, these are showing it is associated, it is belonging to Phycomycetes. And remember one point here, mycorrhizal association, whatever we are talking about the class of the fungi as compared to higher class, lower class more involved showing the mycorrhizal association, because kitna contribution is iska 90%, 90% contribution. So remember this point. Agar directly question hoga, out of this fungi, which fungi is showing mycorrhizal association? So remember, you have to pick the correct answer which is having the higher percentage. So definitely in option Basidomycetes bhi hoga, definitely in option Phycomycetes bhi hoga, right? So remember this point, more correct answer that is Phycomycetes, because 90% lower class of the fungi, that is Phycomycetes, they are belonging to category, they are showing the endomycorrhizal association, which is the better association in case of mycorrhiza. And if Phycomycetes, it is option, it is not in option, sorry, it is not in option in question. So that time you remember, when we use the Phycomycetes is equal to Omycetes plus Zygomycetes. So both these are the lower fungi classes, and collectively these are called as the Phycomycetes, primitive fungi. अगर ये ऑप्शन में फाइको नहीं होगा, so might be possible in option Omycetes will be there, or maybe Zygomycetes will be there. Got it? So remember this point, as compared to higher class of the fungi, lower class of the fungi showing mycorrhizal association, more specifically endomycorrhizal association, which is the better association as compared to ecto. Clear this point? This point is clear? Okay, chalo. And last point, examples with respect to plant. We know that gymnosperm and the angiosperm. So we are talking about examples of the plant. Those are showing ecto plus endomycorrhizal association. So in case of this ecto, first one example that is pinus, another example that is oak. Pinus and the oak. In case of endomycorrhizal, one very much common example that is orchid, and coffee plant also showing endomycorrhizal association. That's it. So these are some difference with respect to ecto and the endomycorrhizal association on the basis of how that mycelium is cover the area, intercellular or intracellular or the both, and they form the two types of this network, Hartin network, another one that is WAM, and we discuss Basidomycetes, not Ascomycetes, okay? Only Basidomycetes, they are showing ectomycorrhizal association. Example is Amanita, and most of whatever we are talking about, 90% lower class of the fungi, that is Phycomycetes, they are showing symbiotic association with the plant, and example is glomus. Already one question already asked on glomus. Okay, take it, chalo. Yeah, so should I continue next part? So these are some information with respect to mycorrhiza, mutualism example. Now I am taking the another mutualism example, that is lichen. Okay, chalo. So next part we are talking about, that is lichen. Lichen, again, these are the example of the symbiotic association. Simply we are talking about, these are the example of the mutualism. And in case of this mutualism, eigenvalue means benefit, these are the plus. Whenever we are talking about the lichen basically these are the symbiotic association or mutualism between the algae as well as the fungi. ठीक है. In case of this algae, whatever the algae partner is there, that algae partner simply these are called as the phycobiont. Phycobiont. And fungal partner, fungi partner, these are called as the mycobiont. Biont means partner, myco means fungi, phyco means algae. So algae partner, phycobiont, and the fungal partner, that is called as the mycobiont. If you are talking about contribution in lichen, so approximately 99 to 95% they formed a lichen. Maximum in case of this lichen किसका contribution होगा? Fungus having the more contribution, and only 1 to 5% contribution or lichen they get formed by the only plant. So major contribution in case of this lichen fungal partner 99 to 95%, and only few part 1 to 5% part they get involved for the formation of the lichen. So there is a one basic question. Again we are taking the differentiation part, that is what is the function. So definitely when we are talking about this algae, in case of this algae, major function, that is food synthesis. So first function which is performed, that is food synthesis. And whenever we are talking about the food synthesis, simply these are called as the carbon fixation. Whenever we are talking about functions with respect to microbiome, fungal partner, so बहुत सारे functions है. Basically fungal, they has the mycelium. So mycelium means they involved in the protection. Another, basically it is provide attachment site for the lichen. Provide attachment site for lichen because it has the mycelium structure. And the third function, they can absorb water and the mineral because of mycelium structure. They can absorb water and the mineral. Now whenever we are talking about with respect to which plant, so ये तो समझ में आता है, that is fungal, basically these are the eukaryotic part which is involved during the lichen part. But now what happened, if you know very well, we already discussed one point in case of the RH Whittaker system. For the viruses and the lichen, no position. According to RH Whittaker system, no position for the viruses, no position for the lichen. Right? Remember that point? हमने देखा था drawback of RH Whittaker system. Initial part of biological classification. No position for the viruses because viruses, it has the two life. It is act as a living as well as it is act as a non-living. Similarly, lichen also don't have position according to RH Whittaker system. Don't have position in phytogenum classification. Why? Because यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं. These are the symbiotic association between algae as well as the fungi. But now what happened? In case of lichen association, some bacteria also get involved. Some bacteria. It is not totally association between eukaryotic and the eukaryotic. In case of this lichen, bacteria also get involved. So we are talking about that information. In this condition, major function of the phycobiont, very less contribution because इसका एक ही काम है, that function, that is carbon fixation, because chlorophyll pigments are present. So ultimately they can involve during the process of what we say carbon fixation. In this condition we are taking example. Third column we are talking about example of the fungal as well as the example for the algae. So in case of this first example we are taking 1,5C, that is chlorophyce. Okay, 1,5C, that is chlorophyce, and chlorophyce nothing but we are talking about, that is green algae. So definitely whenever we are talking about the green algae, that is chlorophyce, these are example of eukaryotic organism. So for the eukaryotic I'm writing EUK dot. If you want you can write down full eukaryotic. What is the function of that chlorophyce? This chlorophyce basically involved major function, that is carbon fixation. So ये major function हो गया. But now what happened in some types, because lichen it is having the different types. In few lichens we found some example, not only chlorophyce, not only green algae, along with that some BGA. And what is the meaning of the BGA? Blue green alga. And this blue green alga also called as the cyanobacteria. And these cyanobacteria, it is example of prokaryotic cell. These are the example of the prokaryotic, and sometimes the cyanobacteria or the BGA, these are also called as the prokaryotic alga. It's also called as the prokaryotic alga, BGA, blue-green algae, or also called as the cyanobacteria. So what is the main function of the cyanobacteria? Basically, one function very much common, they involved in the carbon fixation. And you know very well, when we are talking about nostoc, like blue-green algae, nostoc like cyanobacteria, so they are also involved in nitrogen fixation also. So dual काम कर रहा है, right? We having some evidences that not only chlorophyce, which is a eukaryotic alga, as well as some BGA, some cyanobacteria, which is a prokaryotic alga, they are also showing symbiotic association with the fungi and they form a lichen, right? And whenever we are talking about such type of the cyanobacteria who involved into two function, carbon fixation as well as the nitrogen fixation, it is a part of lichen. Such type of this lichen, these are called as azotodesmic lichen. These are called as azotodesmic lichen. Please try to understand. ये थोड़ा सा अगर हायर लेवल का क्वेश्चन बना तो क्वेश्चन यहाँ से बनेगा. If higher level question, because directly if you see the previous year question, simple question, either question coming from the lichen or mycorrhiza, दोनों का एक साथ कभी भी क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा, यहाँ से आएगा या फिर वहां से आएगा. But is this any higher level question want to design? That time you have to remember that is azotodesmic lichen. What is meaning of the azotodesmic lichen? It means that lichen, it is not association between the algae and the fungi. In some condition, we observe that bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae or prokaryotic alga, these are also showing association with the fungi. So now when we consider BGA, those are showing the lichen. So that BGA, it is not having only one function. It is not involved only in carbon fixation. Along with carbon fixation, they are also involved in nitrogen fixation. So dual function ho gaya, right? So that's why such type of this lichen, those are association between cyanobacteria and the fungi. That type of the lichen, these are called as the azotodesmic lichen. Got this point? So that's why according to this concept, lichen, they don't have any correct position in case of five kingdom classification. No position for the viruses, no position for the lichen. Got it? This point is clear, everyone. We are taking the two examples. Number one, chlorophyce with respect to eukaryotic. Another example with respect to cyanobacteria, prokaryotic alga, who having a dual function. And because of this property, lichen, these are called as the azotodesmic lichen. Shivangi, Komal, Pratyusha, Deepika. Boys, kuch to bolo. Nihal, Aman. Devash, Edric. Edric is there. Rubaika. Sakshi, Samad, Sejal. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. If hard level question, that question coming from the azotodesmic lichen. Otherwise, no question. If you solve assignment, that time you will get one question related to azotodesmic. Yeah. Chalo. Now we are talking about example with respect to fungus. Last point. Fungal. Whenever we are talking about the lichen, in case of this lichen, basically we have to remember higher class of fungi. Higher class of fungi. And in case of this higher class of fungi, two examples basically, Ascomycetes as well as the Basidomycetes. So remember this point. Whenever we are talking about the lichen, in case of this lichen, Ascomycetes class, they get mostly involved. Mostly they get involved which class? Ascomycetes. But we had some example with respect to Basidomycetes also. Basidomycetes examples, but now these are very few examples, but mostly which Ascomycetes, they are mostly involved in case of lichen association. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? Okay, chalo. Now, so this part is over. Now we are talking about some more information about the lichen, and last point, that is significance of lichen. Okay, chalo. So next point, some basic information with the case of the lichen. Lichen basically these are perennial in nature. Perennial. These are perennial in nature, and whenever we are using the word perennial, it means that showing the slow growth and survive for many years. Perennial means what? Showing slow growth. And as well as they can survive for many years. So in DPPs, you will get one question related to this point. So remember perennial, slow growth showing and survive for the many years. And the second point, lichen basically they can grow over. Lichen, they are showing growth or present over on different surface like rock, soil. They can grow over on rock, as well as they can showing growth on soil, as well as they are showing growth on tea bark, and sometimes these are also present on wood. So these are the some area where lichen easily showing the growth. Done? Okay. Next part with respect to that is lichen. Remember, whenever we are talking about in case of this lichen basically they form a fruiting body. Definitely, they form a fruiting body because just we discussed approximately 99 to 95% part these are the similar to fungi, and only 1 to 5% these are the similar to algae. एक ही similar function है because it is depend on only for the one function, carbon fixation. But now what happened? Maximum they having the life cycle live similar to fungi. So that's why you can write down one point here, that is lichen. Also they having sex organ as well as the fruiting body which is similar to fungi. So lichen can form sex organ as well as they can form fruiting body. Fruiting bodies, and you know very well fruiting body, these are the characteristic features of the fungi. So simply you can say these are the similar to fungi. Okay, chalo. Next point with respect to lichen, I'm talking about these are the few sentences जो आपको कहीं ना कहीं पे तो in assignment or in DPP you will get in options. So that's why I'm giving this point. Now, another point with respect to asexual mode of reproduction. Whenever we are talking about the lichen, basically lichen they has the two types of asexual mode of reproduction. We are talking about only asexual. Number one, that is Soredia, and the number second, that is Isidia. Sorry. So we are talking about asexual reproduction in case of lichen. Two types. Number one, Soredia, and the number second, Isidia. Out of these two, which is the major one? So simply Soredia, these are the main type of asexual mode of reproduction. We are not taking diagrammatic part too much in detail because it doesn't matter, because वहाँ पे question नहीं आएगा. Isidia basically, now what happened? Whatever that mycelium get formed, that mycelium detach from the main body and they form a new lichen. In case of the Soredia, basically they form a spore. Sporulation form करेगा, right? Soredia, they form a spore, and with the help of this wind, now they can change their position, locomotion, and at favorable environment, they undergo the germination and form a new lichen. So depending, Isidia, mycelium की growth है, and Soredia basically spores get released, undergo the germination. That's it. But वहाँ से question नहीं बनेगा, so don't worry, we are not taking that part. Simple, we are talking about Soredia because in option you will get this name, Soridium. So you know about this. That's it. Okay. So this point is clear, everyone? This point is clear? Okay, Shivangi, Komal. Okay, Rubaida. Chalo. Last point, significance. Significance of lichen. Very simple and straightforward question. And again, this part is neat favorite question. First one, lichen basically these are the good pollution indicator for SO2. First point, it is a good pollution indicator. For SO2. That's it. Okay. Now what happened? Why we say these are the pollution indicator? Normally what happened? Inside the environment, if SO2 is present, this SO2 compete with the magnesium. It is compete with the Mg2 plus, which is present in the structure of the chlorophyll, because you know that chlorophyll, these are the green pigments, and inside the chlorophyll there is a presence of this magnesium. So now what happened? If inside the environment SO2 is present, now they remove the magnesium. Now what happened? If magnesium is removed, ultimately now these are the responsible for formation of colorless chlorophyll. They are responsible for the colorless chlorophyll if Mg2 plus ion they get released. And you know that this colorless chlorophyll, these are also called as the pheophytin. These are also called as the pheophytin. Pheophytin, ये point हम discuss करेंगे in case of the photosynthesis chapter, because pheophytin, these are the one colorless pigment which is present in photosystem 2, which is located near the photosystem 2, that is P680. So that part we'll discuss in photosynthesis chapter. So similar meaning है, pheophytin, these are also called as the colorless chlorophyll. Because of the SO2, they compete with magnesium. Magnesium remove होगा. Now chlorophyll basically these are the green in color due to Mg2 plus, but Mg2 plus get removed. It means that these are the responsible for pheophytin, that is colorless chlorophyll. You know very well, if colorless chlorophyll it is formed, it means that whatever the process is present, that is photosynthesis process, it get decrease, it gets stop, it is get decline. So slowly it is get decrease. So first significance, these are the good pollution indicator for SO2. Right? Now, second significance, I hope you remember in 12th standard, you already studied this part, succession in ecosystem. Succession, pioneer to climax stage. बहुत सारे changes होते हैं. And whenever we are talking about succession from the rock, okay, succession from the rock, on rock, first species which is get formed, first pioneer community, first pioneer species, that species, these are the 100% lichen, and second one, that is moss. So second significance, with respect to, we are talking about first pioneer community on rock succession. Succession where which is start from the rock. So that first pioneer community, that is lichen. Lichen. Okay, one question. Lichen, basically these are the first community. And if you want, you can write down one point here. That is mosses, basically these are the second community. Because after the death of lichen, these are the favorable condition for the growth of the mosses. So this part we will discuss in case of bryophyta. So these are the one extra point with respect to mosses, but we have to focus on the lichen, because lichen, these are the first community. That's why we can say these are the pioneer community. Now what happened? We are talking about lichen. Lichen basically these are the symbiotic association between the algae as well as the fungi. Fungi, it has the mycelium, and mycelium means they can secrete the weak acid. So same scenario here. Basically what happened? Lichen, it has mycelium, and that mycelium secrete a weak acid. They secrete the weak acid. An example for the weak acid like oxalic acid and the carbonic acid. First one, that is oxalic acid, and the number second, that is carbonic acid. So these are the example of the weak acid. So now what happened, you know very well, whenever weak acid is gets secreted, because of that weak acid, now there is a process can be initiated, that is rock withering. Rock withering initiated, right? And you know very well, slowly that rock showing the withering process, and now finally there is a formation of soil. So soil get formed, right? So for the soil formation, definitely lichen play a very important role, because rock area hai, completely empty area where no line. But now what happened? Just we discuss. Under the lichen, basically there is a presence of this asexual mode of reproduction. Soredia is a main. Soredia means what? Spores get released. Now that spores, they grow on the rock, because spores undergo the germination. After the germination, they form the mycelium. Mycelium secrete the weak acid, और जैसे जैसे acid secrete होगा, ultimately that rock undergo the breakdown process, undergo the withering process, and slowly that rock converted into soil. So that's why on the rock during the succession, lichen, these are the first pioneer community, and the second community, that is mosses. Mosses, because once there is a death of the lichen, that environment, these are the favorable for the growth of the mosses. So when we start the next chapter plant kingdom, ब्रायोफाइटा में सिग्निफिकेंस में ये हम पॉइंट फिर से रिपीट करेंगे. Mosses, these are the second community during the succession. Get this point, everyone? This point is clear? Okay. These are the two major significance with respect to lichen: good pollution indicator, and the number second, responsible for soil formation. These are the first community on the rock surface. Done? Okay, chalo. Now with this we end completely fungus part, and now we start with the last point of the chapter, virus, viroid, as well as the prions. And again we are mentioning this point. According to scientist R.H. Whitaker system, no position for viruses. Chalo. Yeah. So next point we are talking about virus. Basically, first point, virus, this term coined by scientist Pasteur. Second point, we are talking about first discovery of virus. First discovery of virus. You know very well, tobacco mosaic virus. These are the first virus which is discovered by the scientist Ivan Vasky. And which is the first virus? That is TMV virus. Tobacco mosaic virus. These are the first virus which is get discovered. Now, second point, after the discovery of the tobacco mosaic virus, now crystallization of TMV, it is converted into crystal form. So next point, we are talking about TMV virus. Crystallized by scientist Stanley. Next point, there is one scientist, that is scientist Bejring, give one term, that is viruses. Basically, these are the living infectious fluid. Simply, it is called as the contagium vivum fluidum. So we are talking about one question which is already asked in the NEET examination. Actually, all these points are the point because you will get some questions match the column A to B. So that time, एक side में scientist के name होंगे, on another side there is some discovery or the who coined the term or what is the function performed by the scientist discovery. That is the point. So one question which is already asked in previous NEET examination. One term that is contagium vivum fluidum. It means that living infectious fluid. It means that is living infectious fluid. And this concept or whatever this theory or whatever, all this word, it is given by the scientist Bejering. That's it. Okay. So we discussed the 4 point: scientist Pasteur, Ivan Vesky, scientist Stanley, and finally that is Bejering. Got it? Okay. Next point, you know very well. Whenever we are talking about the viruses, it has the two life. Virus, it is act as a living inside the host, and it is also act as a non-living outside the host, right? So you know very well one concept with respect to viruses. Viruses, it has the two life. It is act as a non-living outside host body, and as well as it is act as a living inside host body. So that's why, according to 5 kingdom classification system, viruses also does not have position, because virus, it is not a cell, right? These are the exception case for the cell. Virus, it is not a cell. And whenever we are talking about viruses, when they act as a living, when they require the host, that's why viruses, these are also called as the obligate intracellular parasite. One question. One sentence, that is, viruses, basically these are obligate means what? Compulsory, chahiye, obligate intracellular. Intra means what? Inside the cell. Intracellular parasite means viruses who activate the immune system. Parasite. So viruses, these are the obligate intracellular parasite. When virus, it is get entered inside the cell, when it is get inserted inside the host, that and that time only they act as a parasite. Otherwise, totally these are the non-living. So one point. And the another point, basically viruses, these are the host specific, similar like an enzyme. You know very well, enzymes, they require a specific type of the substrate, तभी जाके product form होगा, right? Similarly, here we are talking about viruses, basically these are the host specific. If you are talking about, in case of, for example, coronavirus, they require the human, it is act as a host mostly. If you are talking about lambda phage, they require E. coli body, bacteria. If you are talking about tobacco mosaic virus, they require plant, that is tobacco virus, right? If you are talking about HIV virus, they require the mammals. So these are the some conditions with respect to viruses. So that's why simply you can say second sentence, viruses, basically these are the host specific, similar like an enzyme. कोई भी virus किसी भी host को infect नहीं करेगा. That's why we can say these are the host specific, highly host specific. Clear? This point is clear, everyone? Okay, okay, Pratyusha. Chalo. Now we are talking about virus structure, and in our syllabus, हमें बस दो ही structure देखने. Number 1, tobacco mosaic virus, and number 2, that is bacteriophage, lambda-phage, T2-phage. And another question with respect to envelope, and for that we just discuss overall HIV structure, because HIV you have detail in 12th zoology, so that part we will discuss in zoology part. But here I'm talking about वन कॉन्सेप्ट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एनवेलप, तो वहां पे हम HIV का थोड़ा सा डायग्राम ड्रॉ करेंगे, दैट्स इट। नेक्स्ट पार्ट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ वायरसेस। Basically, whenever we are talking virus, entire virus, okay, not specific virus, jitne bhi viruses, all that virus they had first component, that is genetic material. Genetic material, and this genetic material simply we can say that is nucleic acid. Nucleic acid, and you know very well, whenever we are talking about nucleic acid, that nucleic acid it is consist of the DNA or RNA. Both act as a nucleic acid. But remember this point, one question coming from this point, viruses it has DNA or RNA genetic material. कभी भी inside the single viruses both genetic material कभी भी present नहीं होगा, either DNA होगा either RNA होगा, right? Both genetic material is not present. Not all viruses they has the DNA, not all viruses they has the RNA, not all RNA they has DNA as well as the RNA. Correct option, either DNA or RNA. Got it? So one question from this point, viruses has genetic material. Definitely, it has the genetic material, either DNA or RNA. So we'll get one question in DPP as well as in assignment, and might be possible in test also. One point, first point with respect to genetic material, it is having nucleic acid, definitely DNA bhi hota hai, RNA bhi hota hai. So out of that two, any one, these are the part of genetic material in case of particular viruses. Number second, after the genetic material, capsid. Capsid, protein coat. Number third, we discussed that is envelope. And then number fourth, we discuss about specific type of the enzyme which is associated with the viruses. Okay, specific type of the enzyme. Yeah, chalo. So should I continue one by one? First of all, we are talking about genetic material or nucleic acid. Done? Okay, chalo. Number one, genetic material. First of all, we draw a detailed table with examples. So we are talking first of all nucleic acid, that is genetic material. Genetic material. So we are talking about two types of the genetic material, DNA as well as the RNA. So first of all, we are taking RNA. DNA ले लेते पहले. चलो. First of all, we are talking about DNA. Whenever that viruses they have DNA as a genetic material, such type of these viruses, these are called as the deoxyvirus. Deoxyvirus. What is meaning of deoxyvirus? DNA act as a genetic material. And the another part, RNA, if these are the genetic material, such type of these viruses, these are simply called as the ribovirus. Okay, RNA genetic material, ribovirus, DNA genetic material, deoxyvirus. First of all, we are taking the first condition, double-stranded DNA as a genetic material. So first condition we are talking about DS, that is double-stranded DNA genetic material. And under this double-stranded DNA, one by one we are taking the examples. First example we are talking about, that is pox virus. Pox virus, it has the genetic material double-stranded DNA. Number second we are talking about, that is herpes virus. Herpes virus also they has the genetic material that is double-stranded DNA, and as well as we are talking about that is cauliflower mosaic virus, CAMV. Mosaic virus. Mosaic means hybrid. Mosaic virus. So these are the few examples who having double-stranded DNA as a genetic material. Second category below this, we are talking about DNA as a genetic material, but single-stranded. So single-stranded DNA. Single-stranded DNA. In case of the single-stranded, first of all, we are taking the first example, M13 bacteriophage, capital M13 bacteriophage. Mostly M13 bacteriophage, it is used for the vector preparation because of its property single-stranded DNA. And the another one that is 5X, ये 5 हो गया, okay, 5X174, 174 bacteriophage. Bacteriophage means what? Phage means viruses. ऐसा virus जो कि बैक्टीरिया को किल करेगा, who eat the bacteria. Bacteriophage. Phage or viruses who eat the bacteria. Bacteriophage. So we are taking the two examples, M13 bacteriophage and another one that is 5X174. Got it? Yeah. So I think in diseases you will have the more examples that time, but not necessary in this chapter. We are taking only few. Yeah. Chalo. So next category we are talking about RNA as a genetic material, that is ribovirus. Okay. हाँ दीपिका, hepatitis B actually दो types के होते हैं, hepatitis A and the hepatitis B. B has the double stranded DNA. Yeah, right. Chalo, done. So second chart we are talking about, that is RNA riboviruses. First of all, we are taking same condition, double stranded RNA. First category, double stranded RNA as a genetic material, and examples. So in case of this double stranded RNA, very much common, that is revovirus. Revovirus. Revovirus, basically these are the specific group of the viruses who attack on the respiratory system. These are the attack on the respiratory system. And the second example, who has the double stranded RNA as a genetic material, that is wound tumor virus. Tumor virus. Okay. So these are the two examples which is come under double stranded RNA. Second category, single stranded RNA. Maximum अभी तक जो क्वेश्चन बने हुए हैं, that question it is coming from the examples of single stranded RNA. Very much common, that is TMV, first viruses which is discovered by the scientist Ivan Persky. Tobacco mosaic virus, first virus TMV. TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. Another example we are talking about, that is influenza. Influenza also, these are the single stranded RNA genetic material. Second example, that is HIV, human immunodeficiency, which is responsible for the AIDS. That's why these are also called as the AIDS virus. AIDS virus also they has genetic material, single stranded RNA. As well as we are talking about the one virus, that is foot and mouth. Foot and mouth disease virus. So these viruses also, it has single stranded RNA as a genetic material. Whenever we are talking about the viruses, inside the viruses, basically we are talking about one specific example with respect to HIV, that is AIDS virus. This HIV basically belong to retrovirus family. It is belonging to retrovirus family. So दो family होते हैं actually, revo family and the retro family. So HIV basically, adenoviruses basically it has the double-stranded DNA because it is infect to human. Cancer cause करता है ना प्रतिष्ठा. Lambda phage it has the double-stranded DNA linear. Okay, Samar?
Okay, ma'am.
So we are talking about that is retroviruses. In case of this retroviruses, basically very specific, even coronavirus, जो अभी का virus है, COVID-19, these are also belonging to retroviruses. What is meaning of the retrovirus family? These are the specific family of the viruses who has a specific type of the enzyme, reverse transcriptase enzyme. So we are talking about inside the retroviruses, there is a presence of one enzyme, reverse transcriptase enzyme. And these reverse transcriptase enzyme, basically these are the responsible for conversion of RNA into DNA. They can easily convert RNA into DNA. Which enzyme? Reverse transcriptase. Normally what happens whenever we are talking about the transcription process, during the transcription, DNA is converted into RNA. So you know that central dogma, DNA होगा, DNA is converted into RNA and RNA is converted into protein. So normally cell में यही होता है, right? And whenever we are talking about this process, these are called as the transcription. Conversion of the DNA into RNA, these are called as the transcription. But यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Reverse transcription. What is meaning of the reverse transcription? Basically, whatever the information is present in case of this RNA, that information is converted into DNA. That's why simply we can say that is reverse transcription, right? And such type of this reverse transcription, these are also called as, it is discovered by the scientists Baltimore and the Tenney. That's why these are also called as the Tennism. So reverse transcription, reverse transcriptase enzyme है, and this process nothing but that is conversion of RNA into DNA. Such type of this process, these are called as the reverse transcription process. And first time these are discovered by the two scientists Baltimore and the Tenney. That's why sometimes these are also called as feminism. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? This point is clear. रेट्रोवायरस के बारे में बात करें, रिवर्स वायरस. Basically, see, COVID it is not part of syllabus because I know these are belonging to retrovirus family, but वहाँ से question नहीं बनेगा. So don't worry, because if there is a question from the COVID-19, so they should mention in syllabus. अभी तक कोई भी syllabus में change नहीं हुआ है. Not any addition, not any deduction. So we are talking about according to previous changes. अगर कोई change हो रहा है, that time I'll take this some part of COVID also, but only related to retrovirus. We are not taking life cycle. We are just taking genetic material, envelope present day, and what kind of this envelope, that's it. Okay, chalo. So this point is clear, everyone. Retrovirus family, reverse transcriptase enzyme convert RNA into DNA, and such type of this process is are called the reverse transcription, also called as the Tennism, because two scientists, Baltimore and the Tenney, first time identified, discovered, and they studied all this process. That's it. Okay, Sejal, chalo. Now quickly we are talking about one point with respect to enzyme. Reverse transcriptase enzyme. Reverse transcriptase enzyme. Remember this point, ये enzyme सारे viruses में present नहीं होगा. This enzyme, it is very very specific and very unique. It is present only and only the virus which belonging to retro family. Retro family वहाँ पे present होगा. So one question with respect to reverse transcriptase. Reverse transcriptase enzyme, basically these are RNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme. Is a RNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme. Okay, and what is meaning of this RNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme? It means that from DNA formation of RNA, sorry, from RNA formation of DNA. RNA से DNA बनाया, because how they work, simply whatever the information present in case of RNA, that information is converted in the form of DNA. So RNA से क्या बनाया? DNA. That's why we can say these are the RNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme. Which enzyme? Reverse transcriptase enzyme. Okay, RNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme. Now और एक एंजाइम होता है, that is DNA polymerase enzyme, which is used in the replication process. DNA polymerase enzyme, it is used in replication. We are talking about common DNA polymerase, okay, which is used in replication process. If you are talking about DNA polymerase involved in the replication process, it means that they are from DNA to DNA. DNA का conversion DNA में हो रहा है, formation of the exact copy, Xerox copy, replica of DNA, right? So such type of this enzyme, it has the property that is DNA dependent DNA polymerase activity or enzyme. So these are the DNA dependent DNA polymerase. DNA से DNA बनाना है, replica of DNA. These are the DNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme. Simply you can say that is formation of DNA from DNA. DNA से DNA बनाना. So these are the second enzyme, DNA polymerase enzyme. और एक enzyme use होता है during the transcription, RNA polymerase enzyme. There is one enzyme which is used during the transcription process, that is RNA polymerase. During the process of transcription. Okay, common RNA polymerase. We are not taking pro-U, RNA polymerase. So this RNA polymerase, basically these are the DNA dependent RNA polymerase. These are DNA dependent RNA polymerase enzyme. And what is meaning of the DNA dependent RNA polymerase? DNA से RNA बनाना है, right? So यही होता है. Whenever we are talking about the process of transcription, whatever the information present in DNA, that information it is converted into RNA, messenger RNA or tRNA or rRNA, depending. So these are the three basic enzymes with their activity. One question coming from this activity. Out of three कुछ भी हो सकता है. Okay. So reverse transcriptase, RNA dependent DNA polymerase. RNA से DNA बनाएंगे. DNA polymerase used in replication process. That nothing but DNA dependent DNA polymerase. It means that DNA से DNA, that is replica process. And the third enzyme, RNA polymerase, involved during the transcription process, responsible for conversion of DNA into RNA. So process simply it is called as the DNA dependent RNA polymerase activity or enzyme. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? Okay, Komal. Himaya, Shivangi. Okay. Done? चलो. Okay. ठीक है, चलो. So remember this thing. You are no repeater batch. Okay, finish batch, repeater batch. So ऐसा नहीं होगा कि एक chapter है and we have to focus only one chapter. So sometime what happened? We have to merge 11th standard, 12th standard together. बहुत बार ऐसे होगा. Because we have the less time and in less time we have to cover the maximum portion. So don't worry, it will beneficial for you. I know these are the part of the 12th standard molecular inheritance, but why we are linking this point here? Because यहाँ पे reverse transcriptase आ गया. Got it? So we have to create a fusion. And don't worry, definitely it will be create to clear your concept. Yeah. Next part we are talking about some concept related to viruses. Before starting the captured part, we are talking about some concept related to viruses. Now in this condition we are talking about, whenever we are talking about host as a plant, First of all, we are talking about host as a plant. So that time we have to use one term, that is phytophygeny. Phyto that is plant, phage, but more specific we are talking about phytophygeny. What is meaning of this phytophygeny? It means that we are talking about, that is plant viruses. Plant viruses. Simply it is called as the phytophygeny. And remember, whenever we are talking about the plant viruses, they has genetic material single stranded RNA. Mostly because see, हमने एक example यहाँ पे देखा, cauliflower mosaic virus, CAMV. It has the double stranded DNA as a genetic material. But now whenever we are talking about the plant viruses, they has the genetic material. Ideally, mostly we are talking about, not thumb rule, not for the all. Mostly they has genetic material. That genetic material, these are single stranded RNA as a genetic material. Now, sometimes what happens if you are considering animal as a host? So now we have to consider, that is animal viruses. That animal viruses simply represented by this word, that is zoo. Zoo, that is animal. Phage, that is bacterovirus. Phageny, it means that animal virus. And whenever we are talking about animal viruses, it has the very diversity. Diversity in the sense, these animal viruses basically it has double stranded DNA as a genetic material. Sometimes single stranded RNA also act as a genetic material, as well as double stranded RNA also act as a genetic material. So these are the few sequence. No specific point with respect to animal viruses, but if there is a question which is the most, so double stranded DNA, these are the mostly genetic material. Not for all, I'm talking about the mostly. And the third and the last point, if bacteria host it, if bacteria is act as a host, so that time what happened? Such type of these viruses, these are called as bacteriophageny. It means that bacterial virus. Simply bacteriophage. And what is meaning of this bacteriophage? ऐसा virus जो bacteria को kill करेगा, who eat the bacteria. Bacteriophage. And whenever we are talking about bacteriophage or bacteriophageny, it means that most of condition genetic material जो present होगा, that genetic material, these are double stranded DNA. Mostly these are the double stranded DNA. So to explain this bacteriophage, we'll take the one example with respect to lambdaphage and the E. coli. In case of this plant, again we take the example with respect to tobacco mosaic virus, which is included in our syllabus. Yeah. So these are the 3 points with respect to their name. Mostly plant virus name, animal virus name, and the bacteriophage with their genetic material. One, there is a, in assignment you will get this point anywhere. So viruses, that is rhinovirus. Rhinovirus, basically these are the viruses which is responsible for common cold. जब कभी हमें cold होता है, coughing होता है, throat infection, that time this virus is very much common. That is rhinovirus, responsible for the common cold. Yeah. Then this part, this point is clear. Yeah. This point is clear. Okay, Pratusha. These are the all information about the genetic material. Now we are talking about second part, capsid. Virus capsid, that is nothing but protein coat, which is consist of the capsomer. Second point, second part with respect to structure, that is capsid. Capsid, basically these are the made up of the protein. Totally, okay? Entirely these are the made up of the protein. That's why we are talking about these are the protein subunit. And these protein subunit, simply these are called as capsomer. Subunits, okay? Now what happened whenever we are talking about the capsomer? Number of the capsomer, these are the fixed virus to virus. So first point with respect to capsomer, number of capsomer, these are the protein subunit, because एक तो protein होगा नहीं, definitely these are the more than one protein, and that when that protein they get associated with each other, they form a capsid. So capsid, basically these are the entirely made up of the protein. So number of the capsomer, that is subunit, protein subunit, this number, these are the fixed. For example, in case of TMV, in case of this tobacco mosaic virus, it has the fixed number of the capsomer, that is 2130 capsomer are present. ये fix होगा. These are the fixed. Okay. And now what is the another point with respect to capsomer? That is capsomer, arrangement of the capsomer, it is give shape to the viruses. Because virus, they don't have the cell wall, they don't have the plasma membrane, because जो कुछ भी body होगा, that body it is made up of nucleoprotein, means nucleic acid plus protein, normally, maximally. So nucleic acid, that is genetic material, and the other part, that is protein. So arrangement of that protein, subunit, simply we are talking about arrangement of the capsomer, basically is responsible, it gives shape to the virus. Okay. And to understand this point, we are taking one example, diagrammatic representation for tobacco mosaic virus. Mosaic, that is hybrid. TMV, who has the single stranded RNA as a genetic material. TMV. Done? This part is done. Capsomer. Chalo. So we are talking about capsomers, detailed structure. So arrangement of the capsomer, basically these are the responsible for determine the shape. So I just draw the shape. It is made up of the different proteins, that is capsomer, 2130 approximately. And these are the arrangement, these are the represent the rod shape. So whenever we draw the tobacco mosaic virus, we already represent as a rod shape. So whatever this structure it is present, which is represented by this white color, this entire structure, these are called as the capsid, which is made up of protein. Totally these are made up of the protein. Okay, one question in test, even in case of assignment, you will get this diagram, simply a and the small b. So you have to find out what is the small a and what is the small b. So capsid होगा, यहाँ पे a represent करेंगे, and the genetic material is simply represented by the b. So you know very well, whenever we are talking about genetic material, in case of this TMB, it had single stranded RNA genetic material. That's it. So it is made up of this simple structure, and that's why whenever we are talking about the viruses, they don't have plasma membrane, they don't have cell wall. Viruses, they simply made up of nucleoprotein. Very common, nucleoprotein. And what is meaning of nucleo? Nucleo means that is nucleic acid, either RNA or DNA, and the another part, that is protein. That's it. Very simple. Tobacco mosaic virus, single stranded RNA structure, whatever the protein body, that is called as the capsid. Inside this capsid, number of the capsomer, they get fixed. Number पे question नहीं आएगा. No question. How many number of the capsomer present in tobacco mosaic virus? यहाँ से question नहीं बनेगा. Don't worry. Either question tobacco mosaic virus having genetic material single stranded RNA, or another question capsid. It is made up of what? It is made up of protein. Got it? Okay, chalo. So is this any doubt from today's class? Any doubt? Okay. Okay, very good. चलो. So with this we end today's session. थोड़ा सा पार्ट बचा हुआ है. The structure of bacteriophage. Envelope हमें discuss करना है. And the last point, that is viriod and the prions. So once we end this chapter, we discuss some questions which is asked in previous examination. And again we start the next chapter, plant kingdom. Okay, चलो ठीक है. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.